Okay, we are once again outside for our afternoon walk. No sun, overcast. Lisa wants streets. So yeah, let's continue with previous talk and let's go through, let's say, more interesting parts of my medical history in gymnasium. So apart from those, broken leg bone and shin and wrist and those sprains, so yeah, there were some more interesting things that happened to me. So in the second grade of the gymnasium, about a month, 2 months before the end of the year, so that would be in May, June, basically, I was sick. I had some virus, like a flu virus bug. Basically nothing major, but the only problem it was that for 3 or 4 days I had fever of over 40 degrees Celsius, and basically for a week I had to go every day to the local health center, so they would draw blood and check the vitals, but they never found the root cause of that, why I had such a high fever by a flu-like cold. And basically for a couple of weeks later, almost a month, I was still going. So after when I had that fever, I was a week away from school, a week at home, and then I attended school regularly. And for basically several weeks later, I just came, every day I would just come home and went to sleep. I was basically so exhausted, I couldn't do anything at home. At home I would basically do homework, went to sleep, that's it. And I would sleep, through basically whole afternoon and night. And then of course mom demanded I go to see doctor, and they once again did the blood panel and realized that my thrombocyte or leukocytes, one of those, I really cannot remember now, are abnormally high, and they didn't know why, because I was in no pain. There was nothing wrong with me except that I was so tired all the time. And so they sent me to the specialist clinic, so infectious diseases. They did more tests and so forth, and basically all the tests that when they were trying to locate the source, all came back negative. Кайзе. Окей, видно. And so basically then I had, you know, like a final checkup, final visit at that clinic, and the doctor basically said they cannot find the root cause for my tiredness, but he assumed that that week when I had, you know, several days of high fever, my bone marrow was affected, and it then for those weeks basically that bone marrow assumed that I'm still sick and provided, you know, the, I don't know, hormones or enzymes or whatever that, you know, that it usually released when you are sick. And you know, when you are sick, you are tired, you want to sleep, you know, to heal. And basically this was the cause. Napemo. And yeah, basically he said there is no treatment. You have to just, you know, toughen it out, and it will get better in, you know, sometime. And it did. So yeah, that was my second great major. Joj. Ja. Kaj zdaj? No dej, valamo. Kaj zdaj, Lizi? No dej, hop. No pridi. Lej, kaj sem, tukaj, lej. Tukaj. So yeah, okay. Yeah. And now, wait, up. Ecco, prima. Okay, then we continue on. So I believe that was that in the third grade. I believe it was third grade. Once again, PE class. We were playing indoor soccer, football, and I once again got injured. Vridna. So yeah, I got injured, and this time I basically dislocated my knee. Basically, you know, me and my schoolmate ran into each other. I have fallen on one leg. I was basically, because he hit me in my torso, I was basically still rotating with my torso, while with my legs, with my one leg, I have already been, you know, firmly on the ground, and basically forces involved. So forces involved resulted in dislocating my knee, of course. Gremo. Lizika. Gremo. Dej no, pridi, ajde, greva. Ok, pridna, pejte, gremo. So yeah, let's continue. That happened during our afternoon session. As I said before, we had morning and afternoon sessions. You know, one week we were in the morning. We started at 7:45. Another week we started at 1 p.m. So yeah, of course, called my mom. We went to the emergency room. Yeah, it was dislocated knee. Fortunately for me, it popped back in the basically original place on its own, most likely because at the moment when I felt that something abnormal happened, I immediately basically have fallen on the ground. So yeah, and well, fortunately for me, I have torn those knee muscles and ligaments a little bit. So basically they said we will try with some physiotherapy. If that will not help, you will require surgery. So I don't know for how long I went, a month. I know that it was every morning at 7 a.m. at our local health center. In the basement, they have that apparatus for the physiotherapy. Basically, I went there for an hour. I would be laying down. They would put on that machine for, I think it's called electrostimulation of the muscles. And I would just lay there. And fortunately for me, it worked, and the injury wasn't as bad, so it got fixed for a time being. Why, I will tell you a little bit later, or perhaps in another video. So yeah, and let's say the last major medical trauma that happened to me in gymnasium was torsion of the testicle. Oh yeah, we are going very in TMI territory. So basically, at gymnasium, at school, in the hall, at the, let's say, wall, back wall where there would be windows, there were along the wall benches. So this was inside of the building, and behind the benches, up there would be a latch for the windows. And of course, we as a kids, we would sit with our feet on the bench, and then with our asses on the upper ledge, because we were cool, we were rebels. Čakamo. There are a couple of dogs here wanting to fight. So yeah, and you know, that was one morning. It was beginning of the afternoon session. I came, you know, a little bit earlier as usual, get, you know, dressed, well, changed into my slippers. So yeah, in school, in elementary school and secondary school, when you are inside of the school, you have to, you know, change your shoes for, you know, slippers. So, and while I was going, you know, when I stepped on the bench and then, you know, rotated, while, you know, for what, 180, trying to sit down, at that moment I also dislocated something else, you know. Basically, every guy that has been hit in that sensitive area know what pain it can result from that contact. And yeah, it was one of the worst pains that I have ever, the worst pain that I have ever experienced. A boš pogledala Snoopija? Reč, ok. A je zanimiv? Kako da ni zanimiv? Več ni zanimiv danes. Daj ga. Reč, se me on ignorira. Kaj zdaj? Kaj je Snoopy? Več ne vem. Ne vem. A ti si se posedla? A zdaj se bomo pa gledali. Vsi bomo sedeli pa se gledali. No, pejmo. Vsi hodimo. Pridna. Eko pridna sta. Poglej, tlele tudi ena kuža pa je pridna. Ja. Pridna. So let's continue. Basically, the people that saw me at that moment said to me, "What's wrong with you? You have turned green." I basically didn't know if I have ripped something down there or what it happened. So basically I just put my shoes back on, went immediately to my personal physician. He immediately sent me to the university clinic on the very urgent medical appointment, and basically in 1 hour they have already I was already getting an ultrasound done. I think that my physician was afraid that there could be a cancer, or B, sometimes when you have a torsion of the testicle, it could result in such a twisting that it will stop the circulation of blood, and the testis itself can then perish. And so basically they got, they were doing that examination, and the doctor said, basically, I see everything is fine now. Most likely you have you have twisted the testicle, but then you were fortunate enough that it had returned into original position, that it didn't continue with the torsion from around its axis. So yeah, basically I stayed at home for that day, and next day I went back to school. But yeah, I was also given advice, stopped wearing regular underwear, tighty whities, start wearing boxer shorts, boxers, and also refrain from wearing tight jeans. So yeah, another fun memory from my formative years.